Hi, everyone, and welcome to What's Next in EdTech, our March episode. So glad you guys could join us. My name is Tom Driscoll from EdTechTeacher, and I am also joined by...
Avra Robinson, another instructor with EdTechTeacher. Hey, Tom, how's it going?
Excellent. Looking forward to this one. So for some context, this is our second episode. We are using StreamYard to power this, so we're still kind of figuring things out as we go, but it's a lot of fun making these, and I'm glad you guys are able to join us either in the live feed or if you are viewing the archive of this. So just some context, we are doing a quick episode. These are supposed to be fast-paced, kind of light, fun episodes, and there's a lot of resources we share. So if it seems like a little quick or overwhelming at times, just know that all of the things that we are sharing is going to be in a resource document. The show notes doc is going to be linked in the details. So the details of this, we'll also be sharing it out on our social media channels, or you can just reach out to us directly and ask for them. But we're also going to compile everything that we've done on this show. So every episode that we've had is going to be in that one place. So if you want to go back and see some of the other resources we've shared, you can always go back and see that. All right, with that said, we are going to start with our first topic, which is going to be Google resources for families. So a couple quick things I wanted to share with you guys. The first one is they actually have a brand new website. It's called families.google. And it has all different resources for families to help their students or even just to learn some things themselves. So if you scroll down here, few different things that I think are really helpful is they have resources from other partners. So for instance, they have some resources from PBS Kids on screen time, from Common Sense Media. Headspace is another great app for things like I think meditation and those types of things with tech tools. So if you want to forward this to your parents, or if you are a parent, you want to check it out. One of them that I'm certainly interested in is when should I get my kid a phone? I have a third and a fifth grader, and it is shocking to me how many of their friends already have cell phones. So just some ideas and guides if you wanted to take a look at that. So again, not specific to education, but I think it's always helpful to provide these to families when they come up. So the next thing I wanted to share is Google Family Link. Now, this is an app that I actually use myself with my kids. And in a way, it's similar to some of the iOS devices and security features, but this is designed for if you have Android phones or Chromebooks or like a Samsung tablet. So for instance, my kids, they used to have iPads, now they have a Samsung tablet. This just helps manage their apps. It manages their screen time. I can approve apps that go on it. The big one is the screen time locks and opening that up. Just really helps you provide some protections. It shows where they are. So again, a lot of free features in that. If you have an iPhone, though, you can still use it. So there's an iPhone app for this. It's just if your child has a Google device or something that runs on Android or Chromebooks. So something that I put in the show note is that there's a couple other related resources. So I'm sure one of the things that you're asking is, does this work on a Chromebook? And the answer is yes. So I did put some information here into how you can get that app to work on Chromebooks. Now, this is mostly designed for if you have a Chromebook. So if you bought a Chromebook for your child and you want to provide some security features and manage some of that, this will work there. Now, the question is, will this work on a school Chromebook, right? And I've been doing some digging on this, and the answer is, I don't know. So, and I'm going to be honest, I tried to find some straight answers, but I did find a link, and I put it in the show notes here on how to add a school account and to a family link account. It is possible. Here's the only catch is and this gets a little bit in the weeds here, but you have to make the school account, the secondary account on the Chromebook, in the student's actual account that they use for Family Link as the primary. Now, I'm just going to venture that some school districts aren't going to want you to do that. So definitely run this by your school if you wanted to try it out. But I think it's at least worth a look because I know a lot of parents would like a little bit more understanding of what the students are doing on their Chromebook. So that is the Family Link app. And again, I put the links to all of these here in the show notes. Just zoom in here. All of this will be in that top section. All right, so another resource that I shared related to tech for families. This is a one-pager that Google put out. It's a tech toolkit for families and guardians. It's something that I usually share at the beginning of the school year, but I think that it's always good to revisit some of this, especially as we start to plan for some summer learning or rollouts of new devices for the fall. So they have 4 different sections to it. One's a Google for Education video series. So this basically goes through all the different apps and how to use them, best practices for family engagement, and then also some frequently asked questions. So again, there are a lot more resources for families, but I think these are some really good go-to ones to get started with. All right, so I'm going to hand it back over to Avra. We are going to switch over to a Teaching with Chrome series.
Awesome. All right. So let's go ahead again. Can you share my screen, Tom, or do I need to do that? Awesome. All right, there we go. So thank you, Tom, for those resources. As a parent, I love that. And I'm going to definitely take my son's personal Chromebook and see if we can't get that hooked up. So that'll be fantastic. So yeah, this Teaching with Chrome series, it's just another free series that Google's got going on right now. I missed the first couple of them, but I did just register, and it looks like you can go in and see the feeds afterwards as well. So you can see here, there's just a series of different 30-minute quick and easy webinars they're doing, stuff from Chromebooks to, just like using Chromes, even being creative. Chromebook repairability is in here, so there's a lot of different topics. And I think it's just going to be, something that is just a great resource. Another thing, whether you are a teacher, whether you are a parent, whether you are an administrator, I think there's a little bit of something for everyone in there. So that'll be linked in the show documents as well. And then we've got 2 other kind of fun things that have surfaced recently in Google that we just thought we'd point out today. And that is these little chips up here that are going to be a great way to be able to filter our Google Drive searches. So you guys, if I started out a quick search for something like Google Classroom, for example, in my Google Drive, I've had this Google Drive for 8 years now, and a search for Google Classroom is going to yield many, many, many results. And in the past, of course, I've been able to utilize the, kind of advanced searching, but now they've got the search results right here, and I can modify and kind of zone in on what I'm looking for. So if I'm looking for something that I know Tom is the owner of, I can kind of go in and do that kind of filtering, which just makes it, super easy to be able to find things more quickly. I'm usually pretty good at knowing like when we did something, or, hey, I know Tom owned it, or I know it was, a presentation versus a document, that kind of thing. So I think this is just kind of a really nice thing that Google, just popped up in my Google Drive one day. I love those little gifts that we just kind of get from Google as we go. So that was just another thing that we wanted to show you this month. And then lastly, I'm kind of loving the tasks in Google Calendar. So I hadn't used them before, but what I've found is I can come into like tomorrow and click here. And instead of creating an event, actually creating a task, so I can, say this is going to be task number 3. I could put a specific time in there. So if I said, hey, I definitely want to work on this at 3 p.m., I can do that. And this is a feature that's been around for a while, but what is new this month is this right here. So this 3 pending tasks. So you can see I created 2 tasks on Sunday, task 1 and task 2. And if I click on this, then I'm going to get this little card here that shows me that, hey, I haven't completed those yet, as well as I haven't finished my thumbnails for YouTube that I wanted to finish yesterday. So this has just been a really nice kind of task management feature for me. Loving that these tasks now get carried over, right? So that way then if I don't get my work done, it's not going to disappear on me, which has just been kind of a nice organizational feature. So those are just a couple of the things that I've seen pop up recently in my Googly world that I thought I would share with others.
No, those are both great ideas. And we've talked about this before. I actually use my calendar kind of for a task management, but I put events in.
Yeah.
But it's got me thinking maybe I should do it through tasks. It might be a little bit.
And that's actually, Tom, where I got the idea, because I love the way that your calendar is organized. So yeah, I'm loving that. I do love the little check mark with the task because I can check it off, which makes, that helps me.
Right. Makes sense. I'll have to check that out. So thank you, Avra. Some good tips there. The other thing I wanted to jump into is me and Avra have been spending a good amount of time the past few months developing video tutorials. So a lot of this has been based on feedback from educators saying that they wanted a little bit more in-depth instruction on, but in an asynchronous way. And even our CEO, Tom DeCord, got in on the act. So he actually created an EdTechTeacher tutorial that he pushed out yesterday on Google Search Tips. So we're just going to highlight a few different collections that we've been working on that you may want to use with your students. And the first one is a gamification app tutorial series that I've been working on for a while now. So the three of them that are actually, no, there's four of them out now. So if you go to the show notes or you just go directly to our YouTube channel, you're going to see them here. So we have an educator's guide to Kahoot, and that is at the top here, a guide to quizzes, Quizlet Live, and Classcraft. So those are kind of the top four that I've seen used in education. The difference here is that the Kahoot quizzes and Quizlet Live is a gamified quiz. Probably heard and used of these before. Classcraft is a little different. If you haven't checked that one out, that's worth that quick 5-minute tutorial. In a sense, it gamifies your class itself. So even like non-digital tasks in the class, you can assign like XP points, and kids get avatars, and some kids really get into this. I've met the founders of it. They seem like really great educators that are in it for the right reasons. So if you want to take a look at that, really good group there. So those are the first four. Just as a quick preview, I'm working right now on two other ones that I've seen grow in popularity enormously the last couple of years, and that is Blookit and Gimkit. And I've heard of Gimkit in the past, and I explored it a bit, but Blookit came out of nowhere. And almost every school that I work with now, there's somebody using it. And I was under the impression that Blookit was like an elementary school thing, but I've seen teachers using it all the way up into high school. So keep an eye out for those. I'll be adding all of those to our gamification and game-based learning series. I just want to turn it over to Avra to share what she's been working on.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tom. Those look awesome. So what I've been working on recently is a series about accessibility on the Chromebook. So one of our consultants, Rosie McQuillan, is my go-to gal for assistive technology. And having been a regular educator my whole life and not necessarily had a whole lot of special ed background, I learned a lot from Rosie. And I learned that intuitively stuff that I do naturally are things that we can provide for our kids to create more accessible learning environments for them. And there's a lot on the Chromebook that I think teachers maybe don't even realize is there. So things like being able to increase your mouse cursor, things like being able to increase the font size or turn on the dictation tool. As soon as schools went remote and my son came home with a Chromebook, I turned on a dictation tool for him. He was able to utilize that and be able to talk into the Zoom chat and ask to use the restroom, which was a key component to remote learning, right?
Yep.
So, but dictation tool or select to speak, those are all little 3-minute videos that just show you how to turn it on and kind of talk about why you might want to utilize them. Wonderful features that can support student learning on the Chromebook, because there's really a lot there that sometimes people don't realize is there. So there are 8 videos so far, and I've got more in the works, Tom.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing those. Those are super helpful for folks, and bookmark that, because I guarantee these videos, especially the Chromebook accessibility, are going to be very helpful at the start of a school year. Say students are using Chromebooks for the first time, or you have new models going out, or you're moving from iPads to Chromebooks. Incredibly helpful. So definitely save that resource. All right. So last thing here I'm going to share out is one second. Trying to move over to this, is a Edutopia article that I wrote with one of my former colleagues, Sean McCusker. And if you're familiar with any of his work, he was actually the founder of the SS Chat on Twitter years ago. Excellent educator, worked with us for EdTechTeacher for a few years. And we've been doing a lot of work on civics education and how technology can amplify the impact of it. And what we did is we wrote an article for Edutopia that highlighted some of the strategies, or some of the go-to strategies, using best practices of civics, along with some of the EdTech tools that really help take it to the next level. I'll just highlight a couple here. iCivics is probably the most widely used one of games and simulations for civics lessons. But also we highlight things like Informable from the News Literacy Project. It's a mobile game that teaches students different skills on sorting fact from fiction online. Games for Change is a collection of social issue games that you can use with your kids. So anyway, just want to highlight this to share out some of those resources that we've compiled in our research. We do have a book coming out soon. It is available for pre-order. I'll get into that in a future episode. Maybe I'll add a link to that in the show notes. But for now, this is kind of a nice, quick article, probably a 5-minute read with a lot of resources that you can share. If you are a civics instructor or if you have any social studies teachers that you'd like to share this with, we'd love for you to share out some of these ideas.
Awesome.
All right, so that brings us to the close of our episode. As I mentioned, we try to keep these between 15 and 20 minutes, so we were successful in that for our second episode. I also wanted to do a quick shout out that we are in the final planning stages of our summer event and workshops. We are planning on putting together a live event this year for educators. We understand that virtual PD, although it's necessary, sometimes there's a ton of value to just being somewhere. And me and Avra loved that live event we had at Bentley last fall. We had about 200 educators from the region meeting at Bentley for an excellent workshop. Avra, what were your thoughts on that day?
Oh my gosh, it was so great to just be with people again. I mean, we were all masked up and safe, but it was a great day. I just heard from so many people. It just felt great to be back in person. So we're hoping that this summer we're going to be able to do the same thing and be face to face and really just engage with other educators, share ideas, just get out of the house, right?
Right. So if you are interested and you want to reach out and find out more about it, our contact information is in the show notes. And if you sign up for our newsletter, we're going to be sharing all of that information out in the next couple weeks. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us to another episode of What's Next in EdTech. We will see you guys next time.
See you next time. Thanks.